You can right-click any developer project or account snapshot and view the assets, profiles, and permission sets that are inside. When you view the assets, you will see all the different metadata types here at left and all of the individual assets here in the center. Some have XML data, others like Apex classes have code. You can view the base types, like here's custom objects, or the subtypes, so here's the fields in a custom object. One of the nifty things you can do is you can right-click any of the data and export it as an asset file or XML or what have you. And you can right-click the values and search for them. And when you do that, it brings up the search palette. And this will let you find these individual types and will show you where they're located. And you can also just type whatever you want here, and it will search the entire snapshot very quickly and give you a list of everywhere that string is located, either by the name of the object or as a part of the object content. So it's a really good way to find things and see how they're related and so forth. If you pull down this panel, then you'll see all of the information about your snapshot here, including things like the deployment history, the setup audit trail, all of that information. And you can also show the search palette if you want to start looking for something. If you select an individual object here, then you will also get more information on that individual object. So on the left here, this is the history of the entire deployment, but on the right, this is the history of that individual object through time. So for example, if we select an object, you can see who changed it, when, what the changes were, if it was successful or whatnot. And that even works down to the field level, so you can actually see who made changes to an individual field and when they were made, and so on and so forth. So that's the first tab here. It gives you a broad overview of everything happening in your snapshot. The next tab will show you a view of your profiles, and this is profiles down the left, and then one of these types here across the top. So for example, we can view profiles by Apex classes, which we don't have any, Apex pages. So this shows the profiles down the left and the pages across the top. Application visibility, you can look through all that information. Field permissions, so field permissions are potentially gigantic. It depends on how many objects and how many profiles you have, but in this case we don't have that many, but you can easily have a couple 100,000 of those. And then you have layout assignments, so on and so forth. So this shows all the major components of a profile by profile and by the component. The other thing you can do is, this is really useful, you can show an editing palette here. And what this will let you do is select individual characteristics here and change them. And as soon as you do that, you're editing this data not in your account but just in the profile. So then you can edit it here and then push the profile to make changes in your account. And so the profile editing palette is a really powerful way to do that for bulk editing. And another thing that you can do is you can force, and so some of these profiles have a sparse matrix. In other words, if you have no access here in gray, that means it just won't change it. It won't set it to no access, it's just not there. So what you can do with force is force these items to no access, and you see here they are in red. So that's the difference. In red means it's there and it's going to mark it as no access. in gray means it's sparse and it's just not going to change it. So that's the way these profiles work when you push them back to the metadata API. And so you can use the force button here to actually mark things as no access when you change them. As soon as you've edited a bunch of profiles, and you can do that on profiles and permission sets, and you can do it for any of these categories, but as soon as you've edited them, the save button will appear, and you can choose to save the things that you've edited here for, in this case, just profiles. I didn't edit any permission sets. Okay, so that's an overview of the View Metadata interface.